Court has affirmed the judgment to the Court of Appeal.
Supreme Court gives finality to Farouk Lawal's bribery saga, upholds conviction.
Always be careful of those you want to lift.
Nigeria police force neutralized Buhari kidnap kingpin Maigemu.
Federal government, I thank you.
One local government, one product. Correspondence espouses on processes to stimulate local production. Good evening. This is NTA Network News at 9. I'm Lami Ali. Benny Adams has the business bit tonight, and as Africa Cup of Nations progresses, Ayodeji updates on fixtures and prospects. We begin with security, where security agencies are said to dominate and govern spaces across the country to combat criminal activities and deploy technology as a force multiplier in fighting crime. These were some of the recommendations at the end of the National Security Course on psychological operations and strategic communication, focusing on winning the hearts and minds of civilians for national cohesion.
That security agencies should explore the potential of new technological tools, including artificial intelligence and data analysis, to enhance security effectiveness of PSYOPs and strategic communications.
If you take two countries with the same resources and you say go grow your GDP and they keep getting more people to work, they keep putting more money, the one that is going to turn up to be more competitive is that country that has actually put technology to use.
The platform also recommends proper regulation of social media information to guard against spread of fake news. The forum also advocates enhanced synergy between security agencies and communities. Now, Governor Caleb Mutfwang has again given a stern warning that henceforth the state government will do all within its power to ensure that all external aggressors, criminal elements and those who are destroying the youths with hard drugs are sent out of the state. The governor gave the warning in Mangu while assessing the extent of damage done to communities that were affected in the recent crisis. Grace Akwegotip reports that Governor Mutfwang, along with the security chiefs, are also in Bokkos local government area on the same mission.
The governor and his team went round the communities to see the level of devastation occasioned by the crisis, which left many residents of Mangu local government area homeless. After seeing the level of destruction, Governor Mutfwang condoled with the Mishkagam Magavu, where he expressed sadness over what has come of a town that used to be the economic hub of the states.
This is a huge setback. It means that we are facing the potential shortage of foodstuff before the next farming season.
He appealed to the people to look out for criminal elements among them.
One of the things that accelerated this carnage was the involvement of drug-induced youths, and from the reports I have received, this is something we must tackle urgently.
The Mishkagam Magavu, Da John Hilsey, thanked the governor for the prompt response. The governor was also in Bokkos local government area, where he advocated building bridges of peace, urging the people to bury their differences by putting behind them the pains of the past. In Jos, Grace Akwegotip, NTA News.
Operatives of the Police Intelligence Response Team in the early hours of Friday engaged some bandits along Buhari and Kaduna in a gun duel and successfully neutralized 3 of them, including their gang leader known as Maigemu. Force Public Relations Officer Olumuyiwa Adejobi disclosed this in Abuja while parading 17 suspects for their involvement in different crimes. Francis Form reports.
Buhari-Kaduna Road has been on the news for the wrong reasons in the last 3 weeks. Kidnapping and banditry were some of the crimes that caused panic in that axis. And barely 2 weeks, some girls were kidnapped, while the kidnappers were said to have killed one of the victims. The other ones later regained freedom. However, luck ran out of them as operatives of the Force Intelligence Response Team recorded a major breakthrough against them.
That the gang and its camp have been destroyed in that area. The gangs and many others who ventured into crime and kidnapping in Buhari, border communities between the Federal Capital Territory and Kaduna and Nasarawa State.
And this 43-year-old has been into kidnapping since 2015. He confessed to have kidnapped their victims in Abuja and had an encounter with the security operatives. These two suspects and some of their gang members at large were said to have invaded the residence of one Alhaji Mohammed Ringim at Watts village in Shandam local government area of Plateau State and shot and slaughtered the said Alhaji after robbing him of his belongings. While these two suspects specialize in snatching Bajaj motorcycles, acting on information received about the syndicate, the IRT swung into action and arrested the two suspects and recovered two motorcycles that were stolen in Maraba, Nasarawa State. The force says it has so far rescued 154 kidnapped victims and arrested 129 suspects and weapons discovered from the suspected gun runners. Francis from NTA News.
The Supreme Court has upheld the conviction and 5-year sentence of former member of the House of Representatives Farouk Lawan, who was convicted by High Court of the Federal Capital Territory for receiving a bribe of $5,000 from a Nigerian businessman, Femi Otedola. In 2021, Lawan, as chairman House Ad Hoc Committee investigating oil subsidy, was sentenced to 7 years in prison for soliciting and accepting bribe. But the Court of Appeal, Abuja, in 2022 reduced the prison sentence to 5 years. He filed an appeal against the judgments, but the Supreme Court dismissed Farouk Lawan's appeal for lacking in merit, upholding the appellate court's decision on the matter.
The judgment of Court of Appeal that the third count stands and is convicted on the third count and should serve the 5-year term.
Appeal Court had earlier discharged him on 2 out of the 3 counts he was accused of. Now in the studio with me to shed light on the Lawan bribery case is a public affairs analyst and former director of news at Voice of Nigeria, Mr. Ben Shamang. Thank you for joining us on the news.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
All right. Now this is another high-class case that is not swept under the carpet. What is your view about this conviction, looking at Nigeria's fight against corruption?
You see, when President Tinubu came on board, some people were saying he was too silent when it came to fighting corruption. And now we are seeing that he can not just bite back, he can bite. So it's a good thing that at the very top level there, that Farouk Lawan, remember his days in the National Assembly. It was like if he sneezed, some caps will fall on the ground. Now, that sting operation has a kind of nailed him. And that is what, when they say justice is a double-edged sword. Well, you are fighting, you think you are fighting corruption and you are fighting it the wrong way, of course it's going to turn against you. And so this law, when he went, there was this, one of the counter charges, whether or not he was the first person to ask for the bribe, or Tedola said, look, remove my name from the list, then I give you this amount. So that was quashed because there was no due diligence in terms of prosecution. But when it came to the 500,000 US dollars, he collected that, he accepted it, he did. Now, there was time lapse. When you said you took it as to serve as evidence, did you give any security operative? No. Where you just pocketed it, and that's why he's been nailed. It's a good thing that the painstaking aspect of the judiciary, of the trial itself, has come out to pay so much. And that tells you that any other person for that matter, especially those who would want to save in agencies, government agencies, parastatals or ministries, there's this thing you call padding of budgets. Some people say, okay, we're going to put this figure into your budget, so when we come for oversight function, we begin to collect some of these things. So this judgment is something that will put some fears into people,
All right.
and it's
now,
a good thing.
Now, looking at how the whole thing played out, right from the case commenced to when it went to the Supreme Court, the convict used the opportunities provided by the law to appeal his conviction. Now, what is your take on the provisions of the justice system in Nigeria?
Yeah, you see, when you're talking of criminal justice administration system in Nigeria, at the point some will feel there are untouchables in this country. Therefore, the moment you are big up there, the law is your friend. The man who will steal some roofing sheet in say Shandam because of crisis, again he gets convicted. But even though some people will say that the trial took so much a long time, but it ensured that justice is served. But again, some Nigerians will feel that there has to be some specialized courts so that cases of corruption of this nature, just like, we should just have cases being tried in these specialized courts so that quick dispensation of justice is being given to Nigerians, or those who deserve justice, those who need to be compensated, or those who need to be thrown into jail. They are just thrown there so that society can be better for it.
Now, now finally, what lesson or lessons are there to be learned from this case?
The lessons to be learned in this case is that no matter how big you are, the law is just there for you. And you shouldn't think that because you belong to the same party with the president, because we are seeing that those who are also in APC are also being persecuted. If you are in PDP or you are even within the private sector, of course, corruption is corruption. It takes two to tangle. When people steal money from banks, for God's sake, they didn't just break into the windows. There was some laid down procedures, and some people went in, got some money with the collaboration of others. So when we see people being jailed because of corruption, money being stolen, these monies were not kept in the farm somewhere. They were in banks. So we also expect that the banks should also face the same radar so that justice is served to everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Shemang, for sharing those perspectives.
My pleasure.
Now, the Office of the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, is not operating any loan program or palliative in conjunction with the Central Bank of Nigeria or any agency. This clarification is to alert the public sequels of fake information on the Facebook handle of one Temple Shot, requesting members of the public to apply and get instant loan. The fake content, which bears the picture of Senator Akpabio with coat of arms, is the handiwork of fraudsters and unscrupulous elements. We pause now for some messages. The news continues shortly. Do stay with the NTA. As part of efforts to eradicate fake news that can cause conflict and disunity, the management of Voice of Nigeria is seeking the collaboration of other sister agencies. The management was therefore asked the Nigerian Television Authority, which has similar mandate through the dissemination of credible and reliable information. Christiana Akande reports.
The consequences of fake news are numerous. Among these are confusion, chaos, and lack of trust within individuals, communities, and even nations. It is also considered by some as a serious impediment to democratic rule. Director General of NTA, Abdulhamid Dembos, welcomed his counterpart from the Voice of Nigeria, Von Jubrin Baba Ndachi, both collaborating to end the menace of fake news in the country.
Ours is to project Nigerians in good light, and of course, take the narrative from one angle rather than leaving individuals to be doing that on behalf of Nigerians while we are there. So I think it's beholden on all of us to make sure that we do what is right. We must have to tell Nigerians and, of course, the world what Nigeria is and what Nigeria stands for.
We all have a responsibility to reposition Nigeria under the Renew Hope agenda of President Lami Tinubu, and we'll do all we can to continue to collaborate with NTA for this.
Propagating the positive face of the country, as emphasized, will bring about unity, peace, as well as economic development the nation yearns for. In Abuja, Christiana Akode, NTA News.
Recognizing the crucial role that professionalism and excellence play in driving positive change in the country, the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations is strengthening collaboration with the Nigerian Television Authority to amplify the Rebirth Nigeria initiative, Nneka Uku reports.
The Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, and the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations, NIPR, share a strong and long-lasting relationship. It comes as no surprise that NIPR members paid a courtesy visit to the NTA management, aiming to strengthen their collaboration and work towards a common goal.
Rebirth Nigeria runs on 4 pillars. First is the pillar of citizenship education. We need to re-educate and reprogram our citizens to begin to think development, to have hope, and to rekindle their sense of patriotism. The second pillar is the pillar of values reorientation. The third pillar is the pillar of service excellence. And the last one is promotion of made in Nigerian goods.
With hearts aligned and a shared sense of purpose, the NTA's Director General expressed his full support for NIPR's noble objectives. He believes that a united front against fake news would pave the way for a more enlightened and united Nigeria.
Apparently, I think almost we are all operating on the same page, trying to see how we can make Nigeria better and also correct all some of these fake news and wrong narratives about this country. We all belong to Nigeria, and we must think Nigeria, sleep Nigeria, wake up Nigeria, and walk Nigeria. And I would like to wish the council a very successful tenure, and to also tell you that NTA will forever be with the NIPR.
The NIPR, as a professional body, is responsible for promoting professionalism and ethical conduct in public relations. In Abuja, Nneka Uku, NTA News.
Minister of Solid Minerals Development, Dele Alake, says actions are being taken to put an end to the security challenges facing mining environments across the country. This was while briefing journalists after an inter-ministerial meeting with chiefs of security agencies. Ekene Ndulwe reports.
An irregular meeting between concerned ministers and chiefs of security agencies. But then, these are not regular times. The committee is concerned with spate of bloodshed in mining communities. After a closed-door meeting, Minister of Solid Minerals Development says decisions have been reached on securing Nigeria's natural resources.
It's agreed here that we will meet in a fortnight to deliberate on the work plan submitted by the security agencies. And that work plan simply includes the formation of whatever outfits that we propose and the modalities, the execution, the funding, and all details associated with the security outfits that we propose to create.
On the recent explosion in Ibadan, the minister said outcome of investigations are still awaited. Another fortnight, these stakeholders will gather again, hopefully to kickstart a new era in securing Nigeria's natural resources and mineral sites. In Abuja, Ekene Ndulwe, NTA News.
With over 500,000 entrepreneurs already trained by the Federal Institute of Industrial Research, Oshodi, the school says it is ready to lead the industrial revolution targets of the present administration. Director General of the Institute, Jumaitu Tuwa Adamu, gave this assurance as the opening of an empowerment program for women in bread and confectionery baking in Lagos. Joel Popola has the story.
Since inception in 1956, FIRO has been thinking outside the box to navigate workable roadmap to Nigeria's economic advancement. Another milestone is a flag-off of this training for good women of Region 36 of the Redeemed Christian Church of God on bread and confectionery baking, with a special focus on cassava bread, a research pioneered by the Institute.
The best way to go now is to encourage our youth and women to develop entrepreneurial culture towards self-employment. This is also in tandem with the Renew Hope agenda of Mr. President.
The DG is optimistic that with Nigeria taking the lead in cassava production, it can be a force to be reckoned with globally in cassava bread.
I strongly believe that this process will lead to massive job creation, and very soon we shall begin to see your products in the markets in and around Lagos as well as all over the nation.
MSMEs are encouraged to key into the innovation of Firo to boost their capacity, like these women who are determined to be change agents.
Yes, we are here to learn more. Though I'll be hearing how to bake bread, so we are here to learn more about how to bake it perfectly, to sell it outside for people to know that yes, we arrived.
I believe that I can still expand my knowledge, and after that I can go back and teach my fellow women and also encourage them.
This practical session is an opportunity for the trainees to have hands-on experience that is expected to transform the baking and confectionery industry. In Lagos, Joel Bukbola, NTA News.
The Small and Medium Enterprises Development Agency, SMEDEN, has rolled out one of its special programs, One Local Government, One Product, designed to empower local cooperatives to stimulate local production. Muplang Dakok reports that as part of the program, selected cooperatives in the agribusiness value chain were awarded with funds, 70% of which is repayable, while 30% is grants.
Kehinde's dream to own a Gari processing grinder is finally coming true, as she has been selected as one of the beneficiaries of the program from Yagba West local government area of Kogi State.
I'm using mine now before now, but now I'll go and buy all the equipment, machine. Federal government, I thank you.
Supporting businesses based on the resource advantage of each local government, SMEDEN says, is to provide finance for MSMEs owned by people like Kehinde to transform raw materials to finished products.
If you administer the funds properly, for working capital, for workspace, for working tools, and then you pay back, and you make sure that we tell your story.
Minister of State for Youth Ayodele Olawande underscores the potential of the program to support youth across the country as part of efforts to contribute to economic growth.
If we can get over one product in 500 local governments, I think this is a successful program, whether it is a federal district or not.
The program provides financial, technical, and marketing support for MSMEs across the country. In Abuja, Muplang Dakok, NTA News.
One of Nigeria's first-tier and finest multinational telecommunications company, Globacom Nigeria Limited, is rewarding its premium customers with some of the most imaginative and intriguing gifts ever. This is coming under its Festival of Joy promo, and it is holding concurrently in Abuja, Lagos, and Warri. Bossede Abel reports.
Just as the telecommunications sector continues to contribute to the nation's economy, so also has the telecommunications giant Globacom Nigeria Limited. This time around, Glo focused on high net worth subscribers for their loyalty and support to the brand. In Abuja, Shola Dani Adetiba and Shitu Tanko are the winners of the business class return ticket packages for Lagos, Paris, London, Lagos.
I feel good, I feel happy. It did not occur to me that I will be a winner.
We have not potted, we did not change clan, we did not change team. We've been with the Glo team forever, so that it came about now is not coming too late.
The company says the presentations are fulfillment of its commitment to Nigerians and the affirmation of the resolve to constantly add value to the subscribers' well-being.
Value them, right? Over the years, we've been having a series of promos on a yearly basis, but this is particularly targeted at those category of customers, just to let them know that yes, we value their patronage and we appreciate them. That's why this is targeted for our network customers.
And it also helps the brand.
As, like I said, the foremost Nigerian telecommunication brand, Glo has done very well with this initiative, and I want to commend them, and I want to also encourage their customers to stay loyal and faithful with them.
Similar presentations were simultaneously held in Lagos and Warri. Glo Nigeria Limited and the organizers of the Festival of Joy promo say it will become a tradition as they continue to spread joy to their loyal subscribers across the country. In Abuja, Bosede Abo, NTA News.
And Benny Adams will bring us the latest from the world of business. It's over to you, Benny.
Thank you, Lami. I'm still talking business, and on a cheering note, the progress being made in the implementation of the strategic Nigeria-Morocco gas pipeline project, as well as major joint projects launched in the field of energy and sustainable development, were issues deliberated in Rabat, Morocco, between the Ministers of Energy, Transition and Sustainable Development, Leila Ben Ali, and Nigerian Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Ekpere Kebe Eko.
Nigeria is very ready to work with Morocco, and we appreciate the effort they are putting so far, and that is why I am here. And I believe with NNPC and ONIMS, with the support of the federal government of Nigeria and Morocco, we are going to get traction for all the things that we are looking for. And very soon, we'll begin to have gas from Nigeria.
And talking business, oil on a Friday traded near a 2024 high and heading for a second weekly gain as positive U.S. economic growth and signs of Chinese stimulus boosted demand sentiment, while Middle East and supply concerns added further support. Now, looking at the Brent crude, the data showed the economy of the U.S., the world's biggest oil consumer, expanded more quickly than expected in the fourth quarter. Also this week, China, the second largest user, announced a deep cut to bank reserves to spur economic growth. Brent crude futures were down 64 cents to $81.94 a barrel. Thursday's intraday high of $82.57 is the highest price of the year so far. West Texas Intermediate crude was down 49 cents at $76.87. And taking a look at the markets, at the end of the last weekday of trading on the exchange, a total of 519.3 million shares in 11,301 deals, corresponding to a market value of 8.850 billion were traded. Today's data shows 3% improvement in volume, 14% decline in turnover, and 8% decline in deals. The current market capitalization is 56 trillion naira. Jopol Gold Ventures recorded the highest volume of 59.2 million traded shares, while the United Bank for Africa was the highest in value. That is Business News. Network News continues, but after this break, do stay with us.
Thank you for staying. The International Court of Justice has ruled that Israel must take all measures to prevent any acts that could be considered genocidal. The president of the court, Judge Joan Donoghue, who led other 15 judges of the court, gave the verdict at The Hague in a preliminary ruling on a matter filed by South Africa against Israel. Dele Atumbi of our Judiciary Desk reports.
Before the court is the humanitarian issues filed by South Africa against Israel as a result of the war in Gaza. Taking a critical look at the preliminary issues, the International Court of Justice, headed by Justice Joan Donoghue, maintained that South Africa has legal standing to bring the case before it. Having settled the local standard of South Africa to institute the matter, the court assumed jurisdiction on the case. The court thereafter gave some provisional rulings on the case which South Africa filed against Israel. One of the provisional rulings is for Israel to ensure its military does not commit any genocidal act. The court also ordered Israel to prevent and punish any public comments that could be considered incitement to commit genocide in Gaza. The Republic of Israel is equally expected to take measures to ensure humanitarian access. The court, in addition, barred Israel from the destruction of evidence that could be used in a genocide case. It also ordered Israel to submit a report to the court within 1 month of this order being given.
On 12 October 2023, Mr. Isaac Herzog, President of Israel, stated, referring to Gaza, I quote, We are working, operating militarily according to rules of international law, unequivocally. It is an entire nation out there that is responsible. It is not true, this rhetoric about civilians not aware, not involved. It is absolutely not true. They could have risen up. They could have fought against that evil regime which took over Gaza in a coup d'etat. But we are at war. We are at war. We are at war. We are defending our homes.
The court equally expressed grave concern about the fate of hostages being held by Hamas and called for their immediate release. Judge Joan Donogo says the court considers that the civilian population in Gaza remains extremely vulnerable. In Abuja, Dele Atumbi, NTA.
The Medical and Dental Council of Nigeria has inducted 416 foreign-trained medical and dental graduates into the council, with a charge on the inductees to adhere strictly to rules and regulations guiding the medical profession. Oluseyi Adiapo has details.
403 are medical doctors, while 13 are dentists. They have taken the physician's pledge to maintain utmost respect for human life and practice with conscience and dignity. Minister of State for Health and Welfare, Tunji Alausa, in a message assures of government's desire to provide an enabling environment for medical practices, while the council registrar vehemently warns against standard compromise.
Please don't jump back. We will improve the infrastructures and we will improve the condition and your salary.
I'm happy to report that since the centralization has been effected, people no longer roam about the streets. We have more spaces.
Guest lecturer Professor Christine Matto and others entreats them to unconditionally respect the Hippocratic oaths.
70% of the graduates today, they are females, and they're very conversant with the problems that we have today that affect the health of women and children. And they can key into their aspirations.
It is not an easy journey. So, being in medical school, you have to deal with a lot of difficulties.
I'm very happy and proud that we accomplished this dream.
I'm so happy for every parent here. The parents have put in so much, and the children did very well.
So we wish them to continue to be good doctors that can contribute meaningfully to humanity.
Having known the responsibilities associated with being medical doctors, the council wants them to honor the noble traditions of the profession. In Abuja, Oluseyi Adiagbo, NTA News.
You're watching the Network News. We take more messages. Do stay tuned. For the latest on AFCON and the showdown between Nigeria and Cameroon tomorrow, let's join Ayodeji Makinde for an update.
Thanks, Lami, and welcome to the AFCON update. Nigeria and Cameroon are set to renew rivalry at the Africa Cup of Nations on Saturday with a quarter-final spot up for grabs. The Super Eagles, who finished as runner-up in Group A behind Equatorial Guinea, have scored only once from open play, a cause for concern for many Nigerians, but coach Jose Pesero has called for calm as he is addressing the issue ahead of the encounter. The match will be a repeat of the 2019 round of 16 encounter, and the team believes that the main goal is to qualify into the last 8.
We don't want to concede goals, only concede one. At the same time, we want to play offensive game. We want to enjoy the game. Until now, I think we create enough opportunity for score more goals. Like I answered the first question, I don't want to concede goals tomorrow. I want to score one at least. If you do it, you beat Cameroon.
Actually, I will say we approach the game the way we used to approach every game. Cameroon, we all know they are good, they are strong. Likewise us, of course I have a teammate there, I know him, I know his weak point, I know his strength. So just take the game the way it is. because our goal is to win.
Ahead of that particular encounter, there are bitter memories of losing the 1984, 1988 and 2000 finals to the indomitable Lions. However, since the memorable 2-1 victory of the quarter-final of AFCON 2004 till date, Cameroon have been dominated by Nigeria and have barely been a threat to the Super Eagles. The last time both teams met at the Africa Cup of Nations was in 2019 in Egypt, when Nigeria knocked out their arch-rivals, who were then defending champions. Kenneth Omero teed up Odion Igalo, whose left-footed shot found its way back into the net. Nigeria were then pegged back with goals from Stefan Balken and Clinton Njie in the first 45 minutes. Trust the Super Eagles, they turned the table around when Ahmed Musa set up Odion Igalo for his second goal of the match, before Igalo superbly played Alex Iwobi through for the third goal and for a 3-2 victory.
Number 9 from Nigeria.
Ahead of that encounter, we'll take a look at the last 6 meetings between both teams. Nigeria avenged their loss in the final of the year 2004. That was at the Africa Cup of Nations played in Tunisia after Nigeria lost in the final of the 2000 edition. Roll forward to 2017, it was at the FIFA World Cup qualification series when Nigeria drew 1-1 in Cameroon and then beat the indomitable Lions of Cameroon 4-0 here in Nigeria in Uyo. Trust the match you just saw. Now the highlights was a 3-2 victory. That was at the Africa Cup of Nations in 2019, and then a friendly game in 2021, and trust also another international friendly game. So it's looking positive for the Super Eagles of Nigeria heading into that encounter in the next about 20 hours or thereabouts. Now let's go ahead and join Yinka Owulewa, who is the National Office of the Sports Writers Association of Nigeria, live in Abidjan. Yinka Owulewa, thanks for joining us on the Network News.
Thank you very much, Ayomide.
Now, surely it feels good to see you once again. Now, tell us, what is the mood like? You've been covering their training session, monitoring the way the team spirit is like, and of course, the bragging rights for the Super Eagles. Are we confident of getting one against our arch rivals?
Well, I think so. I think we're very confident. I was at a training some few hours ago, and the kind of chemistry between these guys really showed that every one of them looking very sharp. And you see faces of those who are ready to do business tomorrow. I think at the team's news conference earlier today, the coach of the Super Eagles of Nigeria, Joseph Pacero, really showed that he's really prepared for this class tomorrow. For the news conference of Cameroon, Song, played a lot of mind games. He's giving so much respect to the Super Eagles of Nigeria. They show that they are scared of the Super Eagles of Nigeria. But I think those are just a little bit of a mind game. It's not going to be. The both of them have agreed that they're going to find it. That it's going to be a very difficult tie. And Joseph Pacero has not, threw everything to the wind as far as Cameroon is concerned. He's also aware that they are 8-time champions, and he believes that it's going to be a very big game playing tomorrow. He also agreed that they are not conceding goals, but at least they are scoring the number of goals that is needed to go to, to the next round of the competition. And is willing and working very hard to see that by tomorrow he gets a goal or gets goals that are enough to take him to the next round of the competition.
Yinka Owulewa, I would like to thank you for your time on the Network News today.
Thank you very much, Ayodeji.
The goal is very clear. Get the goals or get the main goal of qualifying into the last 8. Let's also take a look at some matches before the Super Eagles will take to the pitch tomorrow. Of course, there's going to be a big one between the Palancras Negras of Angola. They will be taking on the Brave Warriors of Namibia in the early kickoff at 6 p.m. before the Super Eagles will play. Surely you have that on the screen now, and then Nigeria will be taking on Cameroon at 9. Trust those 2 matches will be live on the NTA network. Herb Renard, The French Football Federation have rejected a bid from the Ivorian Football Federation to bring former coach Hervé Renard back on loan for the rest of their 2023 Africa Cup of Nations campaign. Côte d'Ivoire, who sacked manager Jean-Louis Gasset on Wednesday following 2 defeats in their group stage, managed to qualify into the round of 16 as one of the best third-place teams and will take on Senegal on Monday in Yamoussoukro. The 55-year-old Renard guided Côte d'Ivoire to the AFCON title in 2015, becoming the first man to coach 2 different countries to victory following his shock success with the Chipolo of Zambia in 2012. Let's also tell you that CAF Technical Study Group has officially released the best 11 performing players for the group stages of the Africa Cup of Nations. Now, let's take a look at them. In goal is Jesus Owono of Equatorial Guinea, played against the Super Eagles of Nigeria, Ashraf Hakimi, Khalidou Koulibaly, Nayef Aged, and Otto Masuaku. Sofiane Amrabat of Manchester United, who also plays for Morocco, made the cut. Lamine Camara, Azadine Onahi, Gelson Dalla, Emilio Insue, remember, is the first man to score a hat-trick since 2008 at the Africa Cup of Nations. 5 goals now he has at the Africa Cup of Nations, and Ismaïla Sarr of Senegal making the team for the first round. Of course, the coach of the first round is Aliou Cissé of the Teranga Lions of Senegal. And that's your AFCON updates. Remember, matches of the Africa Cup of Nations will be live on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. Let's go back to Lami for the rest of the news.
Thank you, Ayodeji. Meanwhile, ahead of the Super Eagles round of 16 cracker against the indomitable Lions of Cameroon, Speaker, House of Representatives Tajuddin Abbas has charged the senior national team to bring home the trophy. Speaker Abbas, in a message to the team, says Nigeria has the potential to win the African Cup of Nations, considering the array of stars and experienced players paraded by the Super Eagles. The Speaker notes that football and other sports are potent tools for uniting Nigerians across ethno-religious lines as citizens show more patriotism through their passion for the national teams, while appreciating a delegation of the House currently in Côte d'Ivoire to cheer the Super Eagles to victory. The Speaker urges government agencies and managers of the team to ensure that their welfare is given the utmost priority. Up next is weather.
Welcome. Dust have been transported from the Sahara region into the country, and poorer horizontal visibility values are being reported over most places within the country. As we expect thick dust haze over the northern region, the central cities down to the southern half of the country are expected to record visibility values as low as 1,000 to 3,000 meters in moderate dust haze. Now let's take a look at the air quality index and the temperature forecast. I remain Joyce Ogunleye, and I'll see you again.
Weather update brings us to the end of Network News. We thank you for watching. Have a good weekend.